Welcome to Running on Ice, the coolest community in freight. I'm your host, Sydney Edwards, bringing you the latest tech updates, warehouse news, everything happening in the cold chain world. Now, if you know Running on Ice, the show, then you know Running on Ice, the newsletter. I write this newsletter every Wednesday and Friday, and tonight is no different. And so before we start off with our guest, we're going to head into some headlines. And there are a couple big names making waves this week. Now, first up, Lineage Logistics announced it has officially acquired VersaCold Logistics, one of Canada's leading supply chain solutions companies that focuses on the handling of temperature-sensitive food products. Now, this purchase was first announced in April, but the transaction was made complete just recently. In a press release from Lineage, the company says that VersaCold operates 24 temperature-controlled facilities spanning 114 million cubic feet of capacity across 9 provinces. Lineage will gain a foothold in Canada's biggest markets, including Toronto, Calgary, Vancouver, Edmonton, and Montreal. And DP World announced Maersk's Costa Rica Express service will make its first call at Southampton this week, and that's according to Hellenic Shipping News. The primary fruit import for this new service is bananas, which will, of course, need to be moved in reefer containers throughout Europe to distribution centers and to DP World Southampton's container terminal. The Maersk CRX is the third new international shipping service to move to DP World's UK ports this year. And the National Chicken Council released a statement in response to the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Services plans for stricter salmonella regulations. An article from Food Market quotes Ashley Peterson, the Senior Vice President of Scientific and Regulatory Affairs at the NCC, as saying the NCC is concerned about the precedent set by this abrupt shift in longstanding policy made without supporting data for a product category that has only been associated with one outbreak since 2015. Peterson says labeling salmonella as an adulterant has the potential to shutter processing plants, cost jobs, and take safe food and convenient products off shelves. And Arcadia Cold celebrated the groundbreaking of their new Hazelton cold storage in Pennsylvania. The company says construction should be finished by Q2 2023. The Hazelton cold storage facility is one of Arcadia's initial locations, and this groundbreaking marks the third of a national cold storage platform to be developed in strategic markets across the United States. Now, let's get to the good stuff. Today, I'm joined by Jim Waters of Tive. He is the Vice President of Global Marketing for the company. We've had him on the show before, so of course, I am so glad to welcome him back. Jim, how are you doing?
Sydney, how's it going? Got my Tive swag on, if you don't mind.
Oh, I saw you putting it on before the show. I was like, yes, the blue hat. It looks great.
We sent some over to you guys.
Oh, did you? Awesome. I'm going to have to take one then. Now, we had you on the show a couple weeks ago, and you were tight-lipped on a new product that Tive was working on. I know I had some insider knowledge after the show, but now we can officially announce it. It's out there. The Tive Tag. Tell me about it. What is this new product?
So, first of all, it's specifically for cold chain. That's why we're here. We're really excited that back in April we had announced that we had the Solo 5G Pharma, which comes with 2 different probes, cryogenic and dry ice. And now we're really excited to release the Tive Tag, and I hope I get a good picture of that. This thing is the thinnest, most accurate Tive product that we've produced to date. It's simple. You peel it, you stick it on a shipment, and then we have an app that looks a lot like this. It's on the App Store, both iOS and Android. You simply tap it, put it next to the Tive Tag, and you can see that it captured all the information from the shipment. And in real time, you can see not only what was going on with the load on the dock, but it also streams directly up into the cloud so that you can get it from a desktop and start to do some postmortem if needed.
I appreciate you showing us the products right there live for us here on the show. It's so thin. I can't imagine the technology that goes into something like this.
Yeah, I mean, it's so accurate. It's got a clock, an internal clock, so that you have proof of when the shipment both started and ended. It also has a non-lithium battery, which lasts up to a year and a half, so it's reusable. Again, you can either peel it and stick it on the box the way you see it there, or you can use a plastic sleeve and drop the tag into the plastic sleeve, and then you can reuse it for up to a year and a half. So the more you use it, obviously, the less expensive it gets per load. So for a lot of shippers of perishables and things in cold chain, you want to make sure that the cost per load is as low as you can get and as accurate as you can get.
So I know with the typical Tive product that we have, we always talk about people hiding them in their purses. They just have them in their car. This seems to be even something more flexible in that way. Where exactly might somebody use this, and who might be your target customers here?
Yeah, so our target customers would be just about anyone that would be shipping cold chain perishables, fruits, vegetables. If you think about how a load of peaches or strawberries or blueberries reaches the store, you take a look at it, you take them home. It's got a date of a week and a half from today, and for some reason, 2 days later, the fruits or the vegetables are rotten. Something happened along the way. So with the Tive Tag, you simply stick it on that load as it's leaving, and when it gets to its endpoint, someone on the loading dock can then quickly use their phone to tap it and see if any excursions happened. So if an excursion happened, it got too warm, it got too cold, you can refuse that shipment right on the dock and make sure that your shipper knows that something happened and they need to dispatch a new load. And that goes to customer loyalty, right? So whenever you go to your favorite store, you want to make sure that the vegetables, the fruits, the perishables, the flowers that you're buying are always the freshest. They're always in good shape. We all have our favorite stores, and we all have stores that we go to for some things, but not others. This ensures that customers are always getting a consistent product, a safe product, and it's a win-win all the way around for both shippers and receivers.
And of course, besides the look and feel, what exactly makes it different from the typical Tive product?
So the typical Tives product, which is our Solo 5G, both lithium and non-lithium, that is real time, meaning at any time during your shipment, you can see location and condition. So how hot, how cold, how wet. Did someone open the box? It's got a light sensor on it. Did someone drop the load? It's got a shock alert. So in real time, you can know if anything happened along the way. But with the Tive Tag, it's not to say it's less effective. It's just a different way of going at cold chain, right? So sticking this on your cold chain perishables shipment, and then knowing that number one, when you tap it, you've initiated that shipment. It's real time in that sense that the clock put a timestamp on it, and it's good to go, and it's on its way to its destination. And then when it gets to its destination, you tap it again with a phone. It again shuts the clock down, and then it makes sure that there weren't any deviations. But the other thing that's really interesting, Sydney, is with the Tive Tag, this is affixed to the load, right? So a lot of temperature loggers are big or bigger. They can be dropped, they can be lost, they need to be plugged into a computer. This is completely on an app, on a phone, on a tablet. Once you tap and end the load, it immediately streams that data into the cloud. So that data is captured not only on your handheld, but also in your records. So if there's an audit trail or something that needs to be reported on, such as compliance with FDA, et cetera, we can get at that data, or you can get at that data to produce those reports. So there's a lot of differences between the Solo 5G, which is our biggest product, but this is the most cost-effective way of ensuring that your cold chain is kept cold from first mile to last mile.
One of the guys actually just came up and brought me this. I was like, I haven't actually held one before, so this is my first time. And showing off the typical Tithe product is what I guess I'm dubbing it now. Well,
Yep,
set it over here. I gotta get one of the other ones now.
Yeah, and that one's similar as well. It has a peel-off stick, and you stick it onto the container or inside the container.
Yeah.
It's reusable, so that's reusable as well. So the more you reuse them, obviously the less cost per shipment, which is what everybody's trying to get to. And again, with the Tive Tag, this is half the cost of any data logger out there on the market. It's more flexible. It's real time, meaning it streams. As soon as you tap it, all that data is captured. You don't have to plug it into a computer. You're not going to lose the data logger. Your computer, you're not going to have to find a computer in order to upload that data because it's automatically streaming from your handheld device.
When we first talked about this a couple weeks ago, off camera, you mentioned how this was so much like a sticker, it's even brought in on rolls. Is that still correct?
That is correct. You can order anywhere from 100 to 100,000 of these. We can print them up in less than a week and have them overnighted to you. So they're very, very flexible, meaning not only the way you use them, but the way you order them, the way you can reuse them. They can be single use, so you don't have to deal with reverse logistics, and they're cheap enough, meaning they're inexpensive enough that you can use them as single use. But again, trying to reuse them is very simple. If you're using a clear plastic pouch the way you would for a label, say on a FedEx or a UPS, you just drop it inside. When you're done, you tap it, take it out, put it on the next load, tap it again, and it goes right back out the door.
And so I'm just curious, when it comes to the app and it's tracking this product, it's tracking what's happening, and then do you go into the app and maybe clear it out for the next product or the next shipment?
So every time you press this button, so you close it out, every time you press that green button, it starts a new load. So each time that you've seen me tap it and start a new load, it automatically starts a new load.
Very cool. And I know you mentioned the cost point. Is there a price point that we can talk about here?
We like to say it's, at least half, if not just a fraction of what other data loggers are. And the reason why we don't say, ours is this amount of money or that amount of money is simply because it depends on how many you're ordering. So if you're going to order, 200,000 Tive tags, obviously you're going to get a steeper discount than you would if you're only going to order a 500 lot or 1,000 lot. So we like to make sure that people that are ordering more of these things are enjoying a bigger discount.
You've been testing this product. Who has seen it so far?
So we've been testing with not only critical cold chain, meaning cold chain that's outside of food and beverage, but we've also been testing with some customers in fruits and vegetables and as well flowers. So what we've been getting for feedback is we now know right on the loading dock if an excursion has happened. So that can trigger a lot of different actions, right? So in food and bev, I was saying, I had some bad milk the other day, and nobody likes to have bad milk. But somewhere along the way, if the loading dock was able to tap and see that an excursion had happened, they would have been able to turn that product around. And if it was, XYZ manufacturer, they could just get in touch and say, I think something happened with a reefer, or, the temperature got way out of whack. Can you send a load right over? That way you're maintaining your customer service levels and making sure that people's favorite products are on the shelves, rather than putting them on the shelves with a date that may or may not be accurate now that an excursion has happened.
Absolutely. And what kind of feedback have you gotten maybe from these companies that have already been using it?
Well, number one, they love the price point. You hate use the word cheap, so we won't. It's just more inexpensive than your typical data logger, and the accuracy is unprecedented for a label type tappable cloud-based data logger. So, what we're finding is they're easier to use, they're less expensive, they're hyper accurate. People are just they're really excited. The other thing that we did see was reusable plastic containers, or RPCs, which are often used in cold chain. These stickers can be affixed to those RPCs, and those RPCs can be used over and over and over again. So not only does the RPC have a tag on it during the shipment, but it can also keep that tag on it when it's displayed at a store. So if for some reason, a temperature excursion went really, really high in the store, and you hadn't actually ended that shipment, you could see that something had happened to warm up those perishables.
So have these officially been launched yet, or when can all customers, take advantage of this?
Yeah, so yes, they're on the market. We launched last week, following 2 or 3 months of beta testing with certain customers that we have already. You can order them at www.tive.com/tag, and we can, as I said, print them up, have them overnighted to you, and you can have them on your perishable shipments within days.
Do you know of any orders that you guys have gotten in yet?
I don't, because unfortunately I work in the marketing department, but I do know that we've had at least 6 or 7 orders come in for a minimum of 1,000. So they are flying off the shelves, but they are very easy for us to produce. So we're really happy with the fact that people are not only wanting to try them, but the real time feedback that comes in is really positive.
I'm curious which specific market you think is going to take advantage of these the most, whether it's, pharmaceuticals or food and beverage. What do you think?
I think it's going to be on the food and beverage / perishable side, simply because pharma typically gets a little bit more intricate with 3-point miscalibration, and there's a whole lot of things that need to go into tracking pharma, which we do with the Solo 5G and the probes with cryogenic and dry ice. But on the perishable side, meaning food and bev, it's a little less strict. FDA still gets involved, so there is some compliance there, but we can handle that compliance with being able to measure first mile to last mile if there were any deviations. So I think the perishables market is probably going to be the biggest market for us, but we'll see. I mean, we're constantly turning out new products, so we probably will upgrade this to have more different features and functionalities to it. But for right now, it's cold chain, it's monitoring safety and consistency of cold chain shipments.
I'd like to jump back in talking about the testing of this. Do you know what goes into making sure that this is the right product for your audience, and what exactly are maybe those important factors that Tive wants to keep going with this new product?
Yeah, so we will typically, when we're looking at feedback through our customer success area, we hear a lot of, geez, we like this, or, it would really benefit the industry, or especially us, if, we had this type of functionality. What we've been hearing a lot of is, again, the cost per load, right? So how do you get the cost per load down? I'm just using a figure. If we had a $100 tracker, there's a big difference between the cost per shipment using a $100 tracker and the cost using say an $8 tracker. So that's one of the things that went into the Tive Tag. The other is there needs to be alternatives, right? So there's sometimes that you need real time, meaning cellular connectivity, so that you can monitor in real time location and condition. You can take decisive action. If, say, a reefer turns off, you dispatch another truck. But there's other times when people just, or shippers want to make sure that products are safe, products are getting there fresh. Um, and and that's pretty much why we designed the Tive Tag, was because we wanted app simplicity. We wanted, tap and go simplicity as well. I mean, the Solo 5G, you just press one button, put it on load, and it goes. But we wanted that type of simplicity with a leaner, meaner type of temperature logger like the Tive Tag.
Now, what about the security of the Tive Tag? Is it possible for drivers to either tamper with the product or with the app in any way?
I mean, there's always the risk that things can be tampered with, whether it's a bigger logger, a smaller logger, a sticker. Um, I think it's less of a concern because the Tive Tag doesn't have anything that somebody might construe as intrusive. Meaning, our Solo 5G has a light sensor on it, so people have said, "Hey, is that a camera?" It's not. It's just a light sensor. We also have a hole on there so that it can take in moisture. Some people have asked us, "Is that a microphone?" So there's always the chance that somebody doesn't want to be spied on. They don't want to be monitored. But for this Tive Tag, it's simply temperature. So it should make people feel a lot better because it's not intrusive.
That's interesting. I didn't think about people using the product thinking that there would be, ways for them to be monitored themselves. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like your Apple iPhone. You might choose to share your location with some people, and other people that say, "Hey, why don't you share your location with me?" And you just don't want to. But typically, people don't like to be tracked, so we do see trackers taking offloads occasionally.
Now, coming up with this product, do you think this paves the way for other companies to take a Tive product and make something similar? Or do you think this is, Tive jumping in first with a product like this that could be used, by millions?
Yeah, I think whenever you see a product or somebody sees a product and they say, "Gee, why didn't somebody think of it earlier?" Or "Why didn't we think of that?" I think that it would take a minimum of 2 years for anyone to come up with a product that would be even equitable to the Tive Tag. Um, what's interesting is as that 2 years would be going by, we're going to be expanding not only the usage of the Tive Tag, but we'll be adding new features and functionalities to it. So it's not beyond Tive to come up with some real time aspects to it. Will we do that? It's possible. Following our latest round of funding, we've been putting a lot into R&D, not just into sales and marketing, but R&D. So we've got a lot of interesting product, a lot of interesting functionality coming for our current customers and our prospects, which we're looking forward to being customers.
I have a feeling I'm going to have you on the show again in a couple of weeks to talk about
Couple
something
of weeks might
else.
be. I will say that we're looking towards the fall for another release of something really really big. So we'll be looking forward to catching up with you, Sydney. And for us, cold chain is a big part of our business, both critical cold chain, pharma, life sciences, as well as perishables. So we love your show. We love helping people deliver a great customer experience, making sure that things are fresh, things are on time, that deviations aren't happening, and that safety is being followed.
Well, hey, I love to have you on the show. And so before I let you go, where can people find more information from Tive and from you?
So you can always contact me direct. I'm just Jim at Tive, Tive.com. Or you can visit us on the web at tive.com/tag.
Perfect. Jim, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's always a joy to have you, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have going on in the next couple of months, I guess.
Absolutely. We can't wait to give you the next preview. You guys are great. Your show is awesome, and your listeners and viewers are absolutely the people we want to connect with.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jim. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I have my newsletter coming out tonight, 7 p.m. You don't want to miss it. I'll have this interview with Jim, and we'll have so much more coming up next week. We're talking with the folks at Parcel. Stay tuned and stay cool.